All right, you're recording.
In 2005 was the first time, no, my father died in 2005. 2009 was the first Ferree reunion that I came to. And I didn't know very much at all, like a lot of you. And I can remember, I was talking about Charles Heisterkamp, and I had to send him or upload a GED ROM. And when I got here, I said, well, what did you think about the GED ROM and my heritage? And he said, and I'm going to quote, well, you're not a bastard child. That's what he told me. So I felt okay. I felt okay about that. Since then, I have been digging, because when Jack and I are going to see our daughter, we're in the places they lived all the time. And we are looking and talking to people and hiring people and trying to get documents and anything we can to try to fill in gaps, because when I came here, I thought, well, I'll buy that book and I'll try to figure out, oh no, it's not that. So, I'm going to try to go through what's up here on the screen that some of us have heard and some of us know, and some of them are factual, etc. So I'm just talking about legacy. And many times when you see that, I know that you are all literate and I know that you can read, so I'm usually not going to read that to you. But we're going to talk about legacy. What is it? Well, it's something that's existed and it will continue to exist as long as we're going to pass it down. But our family has left us that legacy. Okay, I have said, who are we? Well, you can look at that. Some of y'all are Ferrees and Faulkners and Leiningers and Lefebvres and Dubois and whatever. We don't know sometimes how we're connected. It may be by blood, it may be by marriage, adoption. Those are the 6 children. I know most of y'all know that. The only thing that I questioned was Mary Musgrave, but Donna, where are you? Donna filled that in, but I had already done this slide and I didn't go back and change it. So you can put Musgrave, and yes, she was British, and there was another wife, but I didn't put all these other people usually down. Those are the ones that I know for sure. And if anybody has anything to add, I am not an expert on anything. Yeah, I have a thick skin, so if it's not right, y'all let me know. Is that correct according to what you know about your particular side? Okay. You're going to find in some of the documents that these spellings are just all over the place. Those are some of the spellings that I have found on this family. Just look at them. They are all the same people. I'm going to show you some documents in a few minutes that are going to have the Vorenbauer, it's going to have Vorenborg, and you're saying, who are these people? This is not exactly like my Marie, but they are the same people, and so are the Ferrees. I've asked you as people, how do you know, or how do you think you know about your family and what this legacy is? What have they left for us? Sometimes we hear things that somebody has said over and over and over. Sometimes there is a document. Sometimes we assume something, and other times there's a speculation. Okay, hearsay, something you hear from your family over and over and over. And I use Jack, my husband, as an example. His family has always told him that he was Cherokee Indian. They have passed that down for generation to generation. Well, we did the DNA. There's not a smidgen of American Indian. And his father said, well, I know my great-grandmother's name or something was Maratha, and I know that's an Indian name. Everybody says it's Indian. Well, it's not. It doesn't exist. So sometimes that may be us. Assumption. And I said, since Daniel and his wife bought land in Steinweiler, Germany in 1681 and 83, it is assumed Mary, their daughter, was born in Steinweiler in 1683. We don't know that. I have not found any birth records at all, and that is my particular line. But we think that's what it is. Okay, speculation. Here's the speculation. Mary and her 2 sons, John and Philip, and the 2 daughters, Jane and Mary Catherine, lived in the Spitalfields area of London waiting for their long journey to America. We are saying that, we are speculating that is correct. And I have, where's my book? I have this particular book. This is the sermon, if anybody would like to see it or look at a copy. But I'm going to make reference to this. This is the sermon that was preached the morning that they got on the boat to come to the U.S. So these would have been the 4 children, the 4 that were not married at that particular point. Okay, documentation. Documentation is the only real proof. This is where we know, no doubt, that they existed. If you are a part of Daniel Ferree and the Leininger side, that is the document where Andrew was born. That is his baptismal record. I think I have 10 or so copies up here. Don't get them unless it's really your line, and you're welcome to take some and copy them. This came from Speyer, and I'll show you some pictures of Speyer in a minute, but Speyer is a big Protestant area of Germany where you can go and get lots of documents from their records. Okay, so how do you know about your line of ancestors? Okay, ask yourself, how do I know that? Just ask yourself. Okay, we're looking at France. And I'm going to be going France, Germany, different places. Okay, let's look at France. This is outside the little village of Polomian. They are fortified churches. Some of you have probably been to fortified churches. Have you out here? Well, this is the area where I really think he was born. This is the land outside of Polomian, and it's going to be, it's beautiful, beautiful land.
You say he. Who's he?
Polomian. Talking about Daniel, Father Daniel.
Okay.
Betsy,
Free.
what is a fortified church?
It was protecting them as a community against all these warring people that were around them. So they would go in and barricade themselves. And I'm going to show a picture in a minute where they used to even shoot arrows and pour hot oil onto people. But they barricade themselves inside this church that was completely fortified.
Sounds like the Alamo.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, we know the Alamo. Okay. So this is my speculation on location because of the fortified churches. Okay, this is hand drawn. But this is where, I'm going to walk away. This is where I think is that area right there. That's where I think. Now Shirley is going to check some more documentation on that. I said that is my speculation because of where I've been. This is the little tiny village. It only has 1,700 people in it. So it's very, very small in France. And it is in Picardy, so that's matching where we thought. It is also very close to Calvin in his movement. It would have been a couple of generations prior to Daniel's birth, but it is so very close. My daughter said, Mom, we were going through on the countryside, did you see what the name of this land is? No, I did not. So if you're a part of the Leininger, I did not misspell some of this that you're going to see. It is Leininger land. Okay, go ahead, Vic. I've written a little bit about it, something that I just basically took off the internet. But it is complete, that area is covered with vines and just wine, all kinds of grapes. It's just absolutely beautiful. My kind of place. And see, this is, it shows the house of Leiningen. Well, through, I guess, history, it has now been Leininger. So they refer to it in Germany as Leininger land. Okay. And that's where it's located, is right up in this area. You can see it sort of outlined. And I'll make reference to Landau, but here's Landau, right here. Mm-hmm. It's so close. Everything in Europe is so close. And so many of you, I'm sure, have been. It's just, everything's just, for us in Texas, it's real close. Okay, here's the fortified church in Polomian. Now, there are many. There are probably 15 or 20 that are in the area. Now, I'm going to take you sort of outside, you're gonna see Jack sort of walking around. This entire thing is the church, okay? That's where they would have attended church, but then when there were warring battles going on, they would just go inside. Okay. This is on the inside. They could see people on the outside. These holes used to be open so that they could fire arrows. And there's some more just showing some of the structure on the inside. Okay. I know a lot of people would think, oh, Paris, France is just, it's beautiful and blah, blah, blah. You get out of the villages of France and this is what you're going to see. I know, it's very old. And some of it looks very decayed, but people live in that. Okay. There's Jack walking across the street. But this is the highway that is right, I mean, if I walk out the church and make a right and make an immediate left, that is Rue Ferree. So it is Ferree Street. So, you know, that's another idea in my mind. There's got to be a connection. It's got to be in that same general location. Okay. Now, this is our French family. I mean, she really is, all of them. This is, oh, did we lose it?
There we go.
Okay. I'm not French. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is the village. And I'll tell you a little bit about them. Oh, I forgot to put this one. Hang on a minute. You see John Ferree? This is who I think is ours. But I was showing Shirley, this is out of a French area, the Protestant church in France. And there's a father and a mother's name. I haven't been able to trace those. But the weird thing is the witnesses to his birth. One is a Simon, looks like Bar, it's really B-A-R-B-I-E-R. And if you look at France today, that is a big wine producer. And the Cath Legrand, you're going to see that later too. It's just amazing the witnesses that you're going to see. It's going to come back up. Okay. This is Martha on this side. She is our relations, believe me. She is a Ferree. There were 3 girls in this family. They were from a Ferree. The father was Ferree. And they were missionary kids. They lived in Switzerland. So one girl married a Swiss, one girl married an American, one girl married the French. No sons, so the Ferree name ended. Well, Martha is living there, and her sister, Evangeline, lives in Boise, Idaho. The girl that married the Swiss, she is deceased. But this is close to well, she lives close to Swissport. But anyway, Chantal lives close to our daughter. So we are discussing this book and discussing what we think is right and wrong. Okay. These are your French cousins, believe it or not. That's Martha and her daughter Chantal. And then this is the husband, this is Simon. And then he is a farmer, French farmer. It's absolutely wonderful to go out in the middle of the farming area of France. And of course, here's Fat Me over to the side. And then that's our daughter, Amanda. Yeah. And then here's the darling. This is Leopold. This is their son.
Oh, God. God, he's so cute.
Isn't he darling? There he is again. Leopold. Yes.
Aww.
Okay. Now I'm going to Speyer now. Speyer is where I got a lot of the German records. Okay.
You want me
see
to dim
this?
the lights? Should I dim the lights for that?
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I don't know.
yeah, turn it on.
This is the kind of trail I find. It may or may not be the right way, but it's what I do. I found this Palatinate Families of New York by Hank Jones. I don't know, but he's called Henry Jones. I call him Hank. I email him all the time. And he had told me, he said, go to Speyer and you should be able to find some of those documents on your family. So I did. And I just talk to him all the time, and I'm going to tell you what he told me. Never ever leave a stone unturned. Betsy, put a note down, put it back somewhere. Somewhere along the way, you're going to find another note. It's going to make a reference to that note, and you can just keep going. He has worked on this for 60 years. Now this, I told Karen, I think it was yesterday, I told Karen, Hank made the comment to me, and I don't want to deflate anybody in here, but he said, Betsy, there's not that much written. Now he is a fellow, he is a New York genealogical fellow, and he said there's not that much on the Ferrees themselves. There's all kinds of information on these German families, and I've got those German families, but our names are not appearing that much. Now, they are there, but just not as much. So he said, you can take it that they were not as prominent or whatever, but he said, what you need to think of, they are your family. No matter what, they are your family. They were not the richest people in the world at all, but they are your family. So you have to always remember that every time you get into anything like this. Okay, this is the library in Speyer and some of the Protestant church in the area that's around. Just beautiful. Everything in here is pretty. This is called Maximilian Square, and this is just this is the Protestant movement. Just
Wow.
beautiful. Big churches, of course. Yeah, just keep going. You can sort of flip through them. It's the same church, just different scenes. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that was the old city gate. All right, this is what I found. Now, y'all just look at this. You've never seen it. This was some of the first stuff that I found. Now, this is from 1900. You can tell in Steinweiler it was showing 2011. But I walked into the library, and this German lady, she could understand English, but I had to have my daughter to translate all the time. She said, wait, I may have something on that. Just give me some more information. So, keep going, Beth. So we started looking, and I don't know if you can see it, but she started pulling up this side. I mean, I have copies of this. But it says that Daniel Ferree is mentioned as a Seidenweber or a silk weaver. That's what was mentioned. But then you see those things in print, and look at the next thing down. It said his daughter is Elizabeth, was to have been born in Steinweiler in 1711. No, that was not right. They weren't even there. See, that's the kind of stuff you start getting. There are no documents proving that. But, and I don't know, probably can't get lots. But anyway, this is the Daniel Ferree. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, then here's Isaac Lefebvre. He was born in Steinweiler in 1669. He was going to be brought, of course, with Kocherthal. Here's Lefebvre. The entire family remained in Steinweiler. Now, these are other Lefebvres that remained there. So, you know, you're talking about Lefebvres that may have been here, and you're talking about Lefebvres that stayed there. You're talking about Leinigers that came here, and then you're talking about Leinigers that stayed in Steinweiler. All these people didn't leave. Gotta think, you know, there's no way the names would have been carried on. Okay, and notice that you can see Ferree was F-I-V-R-E every once in a while. Okay, this is Steinweiler. All right, those are kilometers. They're much closer than mileage, okay? This is where most of the, that's where the Leinigers were born, and Andrew, John Ferree, that's where they were. Oh, this is what happened. Jack and I walked, this was 2 years ago. We walked into this little cafe in Steinweiler. Didn't know anybody, did not have Amanda with me. And walked in, we were going to have late lunch. And here was this darling woman that was there, and the woman in the back, and we just got sandwiches and soup. And I asked her, can you speak English? And she said, a little. So I told her who we were, and sat down, and I started writing out our family names. And her husband was sitting over here, and he owns a tractor company. And he was there having lunch, late lunch. So he was listening, but he never said a word. And I thought he went back after lunch, went back to work. Oh no, he's the one that came in with this book. And Betsy went crazy. Oh my gosh. He started opening it to all of our family names. And he said, these are the names? And I said, yes. I said, how can I get that book? And he said, well, I know the mayor. Let me see if I can find a copy for you. Well, I mean, this is in German, of course. Well, you know how staunch Germans are. You've been there. You know. We only open between 4:30 and 5 on Monday afternoons. And if you are 1 minute late, you will not get a copy. We weren't there. Amanda ended up going. She made a deal with this Mara. And Mara ended up getting the book for us, and then Amanda paid her, and then her husband brought it to us. It's not a cheap book. But anyway, there were 3 or 4, no, I think he said there were 6 copies left in the vault. So this man is now dead, this Albert Wengel. I wanted to talk to him, but that's impossible. I think he died in 1990. But this is Steinweiler, and it's showing 1300. Okay, here's some of the names. There's Ferree again.
Betsy, there are 2 copies of this in the United States. One is
Just 2.
There are 1 in Grand Rapids and 1 in Minnesota.
So
I've seen this book.
they're just rare.
No, they're held at the genealogy library.
Okay.
So
Well, I've got my copy, and nobody's going to get out.
It's hard to get.
If so, we live in Texas. We carry guns. No. I don't know.
I've seen this. So if you want to go to the Genealogy Society in Grand Rapids, Michigan, they have a copy of it.
Okay, did y'all get that? Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids,
There's a copy.
Michigan, there's 1 copy.
1 copy.
Which library?
Take your gun.
Grand Rapids,
Take your
Michigan,
guns.
Family History
Take your
Library.
guns.
Family History Library.
I don't even own a gun.
I do.
Oh, okay, you do. I don't. Okay. And I took that because I wasn't sure was Ken going to be here, but those are some of the Eshelmans. This is the same family. If you'll look up here, you're going to see Leiningers. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
This is part of that book that I was making reference to. This is like a chronicle of people who lived certain places. So this Christian Leininger was married to a Maria Elizabeth, and they married in 1710. But you can see the people that came after them. I'll go back there.
I'm sorry.
These are people who lived in that place. Right here. That address, these are everybody that lived at different times in the same place.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes they married and they left it, then other times they probably sold it or whatever. But you look at the outside of a German building and it looks modern. I mean, it's really sort of cool looking, it's modern. But if you could take the plaster off the side, you're going to see the old. And that's what they started with, like that couple in 1710. Now those Leiningers, those people are going to stay there. They didn't come. Okay. Anyway, that's just showing Ferree. That's on the outside of this book, but it's showing what Steinweiler looked like about that time, just pastures. Okay, this is one of the documents, and we've translated it. I think I translated the next page if you'll go. That's the kind of stuff we look at. But anyway, it's saying on the 12th day of September, this Mr. Ziegler, Hans Ziegler, had these goods, and he's in Steinweiler, and he's going to sell them. See that? For Daniel Ferree and his wife. And look how they spell Maria Warnbauer. It's B-O-U-R. And Goulden, whatever that was a matter of exchange at that particular point. And I want to tell you, this name comes up over and over. There's a Fisher. He comes up over and over in all these crazy documents, and the stuff on Steinweiler is just, okay. This is a French one. Some of it's in French and some of it's in German, but this was a French one. And I think you can go to the next page. And what's that one? 1981, yeah. See, and that did not say his wife Maria. It just says Daniel Ferree and his wife. But you see that name, Legrand?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It appears again. So I keep thinking there's got to be a link in these names from village to village and how they're going to eventually, some of them are eventually going to leave.
Oops, I went to, you want me to go back?
I don't remember what that other one was.
This is different than that.
Oh, that's a different one. Yeah, this is another Steinweiler. This is just, it's just sort of the kind of stuff that I find, and you get in there and it's like, oh, here's a gold mine, Karen, you know, and you get in there and there's another book and another reference, another reference. So anyway, these are the people who came to Steinweiler, the new people. Is that right, Jameson? These are
immigrants?
immigrants, yeah. These are the new people. And Warmbauer is there, but it's not Warmbauer, it's Warnborg. So you're going to see that.
Is this from the archive in?
Yes, this is in Speyer.
In the
Yes.
library?
Yes, yeah. This is in the state archives, not the Protestant church. Okay, now, you know, somebody made, Carolyn, it was you, talked about Eleanor. A lot of people are finding, and Karen, I bet you've done this too, when they were in England, a lot of people have found reference to Martin's, and we were thinking, some people were saying St. Martin's. I kept thinking, oh no, St. Martin's was too hidey-tidy for them. That would not have been. So I showed this comment, or made this comment to Eleanor, what do you think? And she went, oh my gosh, Betsy, I think you found the answer. It is Steinweiler. Oh, I mean, she knew Steinweiler. I've always known Steinweiler. I thought that was it. But this is St. Martin's. Now, if you're German, you know the Frauenkirche is going to be a high church. And it's a Catholic church at this point. And we're about to go through part of Steinweiler. And when we went last October, I think, Beth, keep going. Oh no, I haven't gotten that yet, but we will. This is St. Martin's. This is a back view. This is like you take a picture of the camera and there's the picture from the village, on the village road. We've got some of those back here for sale. I got her to do some real ones. And then there's some reproductions or some prints that are back there. I kept the real ones at home. I did not bring them. Anyway, this is Evangeline, and she is the sister to the people I showed you in France. Okay?
You have that painting in your home. Do you have it
Yes.
projected?
Right now it is in my dining room, and it Jack somewhere on the table. I don't know. No, I've got two of them. I've got both churches, and then she painted another thing for us. This is inside St. Martin Steinweiler. That's our daughter walking down. I thought it was interesting because when we were talking to the historian there, he said, I said, but this is a Catholic church. We were not Catholic then. He said, oh no, they shared the same facilities. So, and sometimes they would just switch whatever they needed. The Catholics and the Protestants would share the same church. There was not a church there until like the 1800s. So with this particular, so you're walking in a place where they would have been. Yeah. That's our son-in-law. And Amanda's talking to somebody about the history of the church. Those are the original floors, everything. Original paintings. And see, wars never got to here. Okay, we're going out to eat. This is the city. This is Steinweiler. And look what's over every one of the streets. What is it?
Grape Arbor.
Grapevines. Yeah. This is the newer Protestant church from 1800. Jack, where are you? There you are. The story was there was a Panzer division that had come through, and the commander had given the order to destroy this church, blow it down. And the guy did not want it. He had put a white flag over the church. And all of a sudden another commander came and said, I said, give you the order to destroy the church. And he said, that is my church. It's my home church. Please do not destroy my church. And they left it. Isn't that interesting? Okay. All right, this is the way the German people will open up. you get behind the scenes. So we're going behind the scenes. It looks absolutely beautiful on the outside, but then you go past a gate. Go ahead. No, this is some of the oldest stuff I've ever seen. You know that's Hindenburg. They don't charge anything. You just walk in. If you know somebody and they like you, oh, well, come in. I'm going to show you something like East Texas. Y'all just don't know. It's just so pretty. This is City Hall. I'll show you another picture of City Hall in a minute. But this is some stuff that's happened in Steinweiler since then. And look at the top. See that 13, was it 1350, 1380?
Yes,
See that name again?
Leininger.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were all in that area. That's sort of an aerial shot. Those are, oh, this is the neatest man.
That looked like a very familiar lion in that right-hand flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go back.
Yeah, go back. I don't. It's just, yeah, this is Steinbach.
Yeah, but that looks like our crest on this.
It does. It does on that one. He's taking us through just an old area. And you're right on the city street. Just open a gate. Keep going. Look at this. Old, oh, look at this. Old. They may have a Mercedes or an Audi sitting there. That's Mingala, if y'all know anything about World War II. Mingala. Yeah, I know. This is a house that has been left, just left. Older man lived in it. Just keep going here. Kid, and they left it just the way it was. They didn't repair anything, didn't do anything. Our son-in-law was amazed because he's such a neat freak.
Leininger.
There's Leininger again, and that is, what is it, 17?
Christian Leininger.
Yes. And I think this is going to be the one he's later going to become the mayor. He's the mayor a couple or three times, and it seems like his son or his grandson, the Leininger name, stayed there. Here's the Motley Crew. Yeah. This is, yeah, that was the person that was, this is the couple that are the historians. Of course, Amanda, me, Ray. Yeah. Jack, you're taking the picture. Okay, more grapes. Just, I know it, just pretty. We didn't go to that. That was just something we saw set up. You see these numbers? That's like their street numbers. And if you look in this book, you'll see who lived there. Okay. Go to the next one. Oh, this is wonderful. Jameson, you can read it, can't you? This is chestnuts. Yeah, go back.
I don't know what I
Your
keep putting
previous one
here.
was chestnuts and
It's like it's over
Salad.
here somewhere.
No.
Yes.
the same before this one.
Now, this right here, this is a food that they took us here because this is what everybody in that area eats. This is their favorite thing to eat. And I said, well, I want to eat it if that's what they ate. So they've eaten it for hundreds of years. That is, yes, it's a pig's belly. They have stuffed it. This is, these are like chunks of ham and potato and onions. And they push it inside his stomach, and they bake it, and then they slice it, and then they fry it.
Called hog maw.
Y'all call that hog maw?
Yeah, we make it here. You can buy it here in a restaurant.
That have a fall pig stomach dinner in Lancaster County, swamp reform.
Well, guess where it came from?
Yeah, it's in the 300.
It's like a big sausage.
I make that.
I've never had that in my life. In Texas. Karen, have you ever had that?
No, but I haven't eaten meat since 1985.
Oh, okay. Donna, have you had that in Texas? I hadn't either. Well, I thought it was wonderful. Okay, but my daughter warned me, Mama, let me tell you what you're eating.
You don't want to know.
Yeah. Oh, there's, I put too many pictures in. There's Jack. I got a picture of Jack. And this is the historian for the city. Okay, I had gone to London. I probably should have put it in better order. But I don't really know if we really saw the Queen. That is the book that I've made reference to. That is the sermon. It's 24 pages long. And at first, when I started reading it, I was thinking, gosh, if it's 24 pages long, I don't know if I want to sit there and sit through that sermon. But it goes very quickly. You can sit there and read it. It is in very old English, but you will be able to make it out. It works. The list of the Germans from the Palatinate region, I don't know what you know. This Tribico was chaplain to Queen Anne's husband. And then Ruberty was the minister of the Lutheran Church in Savoy, which was a district of London. That's who actually put this together. That's the farewell sermon. That's the inside of that book. Yeah.
That's cool.
And it was the morning they left. There it is. 20th day of January. This is just it's an old map of Spitalfields that I have, and it's just showing, you can see Quaker Street and Elder Street and all kinds of stuff, that Gun Street.
Do they know where Spitalfields is?
London,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I knew that.
Right.
I hadn't thought about that. I usually have had slides. It's a stone's throw from the tower, if you've ever been to the tower in London. You can just walk outside the tower, make a left. The Thames River is right there. You go right around the corner, and that's called what used to be called the Pool of London, and that's where they docked. When the ships left Rotterdam, they docked there. There was a church called St. Catherine's, and St. Catherine's was there. We think they either stayed there, they could have stayed with somebody else, which I don't think. They either stayed there or that tenter ground where there used to be tents that were erected. The British wanted to get rid of the Huguenots. Some of them didn't. Defoe was one of those. He said, you know what, I think these people are good for our economy. It is giving a lot of artisans into our city. Oh, we walked down the city streets of Spitalfields. It's not the best area of London to be in right now, but it's okay. This is a woman that I met in London. I've had a picture of her previously. She is a blue badge. So when you go with a blue badge, they know lots. And she is a blue badge expert on Spitalfields. So anyway, I was meeting her for dinner. We were walking around. That's Christ Church, but it was not there when our folks were there. It was built about 100 years after. This is All Hallows. This is where William Penn would have gone. Now, if you walk outside the church and you make a right, you can literally look over the towers there. From Spitalfields, 3-4 city blocks, and you're where our people were. So it was that close to where William Penn would have been. If you go to Philadelphia in, is it All Saints? No, Christ Church. The baptismal font that's there was William Penn's. They took it out of this church, okay? This is Kensington, and I showed this one time. If she really did go, if that story is correct, then this is how she would have gone. And this is the oldest stairwell in that area, or in that palace. And we're just sort of going up the steps. These are friends of mine. And that's where the audience would have been. And those are all of her children. She had that many children to die. Only one lived, but not very long. It seems like, I don't know, whether it's 11 or 12. Jack could set me straight. I had, is that Billishine?
Billishine.
Okay, go back. I think that was a map. No, it wasn't. Okay. keep
But the
going.
next one is, but it's
Okay.
Billishine.
Yeah, this is Billishine. This is where the document was, the passage document for us to leave. And you are welcome to have one of these maps. I've got the originals at home. They were from 1703. But that is showing Landau. It's showing Billishine. Let's see, you can see Landau way up there. There are the rivers. Yeah, you can see it, the Rhine. And they're not spelled exactly the way we would spell them, but it's the way it was. And this is an old, old map. Okay. This is Billishine. Jameson told me last night he went for the first time. Has anybody been besides him? Well, it's a quaint little village, little German village. It's really wonderful. That would have been the city wall, and on that it's the city wall and the jail. But the jail now is this restaurant, and it's wonderful. And if you have a chance to go to the restaurant. The man who owns it speaks English. The woman does not, but the man speaks English. This was the document that was given. I've just translated it. Remember, this is on the inside of those two paintings that Evangeline did for us. And she would love to be here, but she's like 83 years old and just does not travel much. This is the front of the church going in. If you ever go, over to the left is a cute little ice cream parlor. And these people are like East Texas. You can walk in and tell them what you want. You'd love to see the church. They give you a key. And you can walk into the church. They trust you. It's amazing. So just go get you some ice cream and say, could I come in that church? Sure, they'll give you a key. I'm not kidding. This is Evangeline's work. So you can tell. I sent her that. She duplicated that for us.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And this is going around the church, so you just see some pictures of it. It's just an old church. Everything over there is old. It's a very modest church, but those are the real things on the wall. They have hand painted that.
Now, what's the
Baptismal.
significance? Did we attend that church?
Yes, well, yeah, and that's where the documents came from.
Oh.
They had to sign that, remember the passage in March 1708? Yeah, that's where it was.
Did you go talk about that door?
What country?
This is in Billesheim. It's a Reformed church, it's a Protestant church.
Is it Germany?
Germany, Billesheim, Germany.
So they went from Steinweiler to Ferree.
Yeah, and some of the other documents are Rohrbach, but we're talking about 2 miles. That's it. It's just 2 or 3 miles. It's just little tiny places. And Landau is too. Landau is so close, isn't it? Everything's close. It's just...
Just a note on the crazy spellings that we saw earlier. So this one goes to the crazy spelling. You have that reference to the Pelican Church.
Yes.
Pelican is Billesheim. It
Yes.
is the same word.
Yeah.
They've actually got a pelican on the village seal. And I don't know how long that goes back, that strange pronunciation from Billesheim to Pelican. But
Yeah,
it's the
and-
town.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
alternate spelling of the town's name.
And on that map, it was Billichkham. But it is Billesheim. It's the same thing. Oh, this goes outside, like where the priest would be. That is an old door that is just right there. And then this is the old baptismal font. Now, one more time, I have not found all those baptismal records on them. I have only found the Weinekers. I have not found the Ferrees. Doesn't mean I'm not, but I can't find them. And they told me at the church, Protestant church archives in Speyer, that just through the wars, they've just lost a lot. But they just don't have them. I don't know if I believe it, but I guess I have to, because they don't have them. Okay, this is Billesheim, and maybe it's the next one, Dan. No.
I'm going backwards.
Yeah, well, this is Strasbourg. You know, a lot of times we keep hearing the Strasbourg. Well, I'm going to show you some things in a minute. We cannot find documents in Strasbourg. Doesn't mean that they did not go there, does not mean they did not exist, because this Marie Odile that I hired to help me with this said, you can't always believe everything, but there's no documentation on it. But it didn't have to be, because if they produced silk and if they produced wine, they did not have to have a storefront to do that. They could just enter down the Rhine. It's not very far. They could take their boats down, dock, sell off that boat. They didn't have to be documented. There was nothing that said that they had to register anywhere. Anyway, this is Strasbourg, which is gorgeous. It's probably one of my favorite cities ever. Oh, it's beautiful. That's the big cathedral. And if you go in like June, July, I think it's July, At night, they have the most beautiful fireworks. They're only there for like 1 month, I think. And then at Christmas, oh my goodness. Go to the Christmas markets. That's my favorite hotel to stay in, little tiny place. That's the cathedral, yeah. Okay, this is called the Boss Rhyme Records. I was trying to make it, this was a few years ago, I've lost some weight since then. Talking to him, I was trying to make him understand, but he's French, and I don't speak French, and Amanda was not with us. And it was before Marie O'Deal had come in, so I was trying to make him understand. He put me on the computer, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could read all that computer, that French script. But Marie came in and she was able to help. But he was really a nice man. We have never been treated badly in France. Never.
Me neither.
Never. This is Marie. We meet her every year. Every year we'll go and have lunch or dinner. I love these pictures Jack took because you can see how old the buildings are. I think the next one's going to show. Look how old that is. Little tiny, tiny bricks. Tiny, tiny.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just more pictures. Now, if Marie was there, and if the children, and if we were having to do laundry, ladies, that's the river we had to work in, and that is the area that they would have washed their clothes. This is called the Petite France area. This is St. Thomas. If they were there for any period of time, no church records, they didn't have to. As Marie said, there was never a death, there was not a baptism, there was not a birth, so there was no record in Strasbourg. But if they were there, that's where they would have gone to church, and this is St. Thomas.
It looks like a fortified church.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
Not-
massive
on the street.
church.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just on the street.
And
It's beautiful.
it's really beautiful.
Okay, that's what I was showing. I mean, you can see this one a little bit better. See that French record? That's the Protestant record. That's the one I showed a while ago that I really think that's it. If that is it, you can see the mother and father's names. If that's the correct one. Now that's an if. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Now I've found some more French records that have those same names. This was the Tribico and whatever his name is, Jorge, I guess Jorge would be. This is the publication. This is the book, if anybody would like to look at it. Here's it. And it's, just keep going. You're going to see the records. These are the people who were listed and paid by Queen Anne. Remember, those first two children, our children, got in. The others did not. And if I have read correctly, and I know I have, this book right here will state that it was 114 pounds per person then for the other 4 of us to come over. That was a lot of money. So then you got to ask yourself, okay, then where did the money come from? I don't know. Did they sell the property? Did they sell everything they had? You know, had he made enough wine? And you know, the winters of 1707, 1708, 1709, y'all, it was bad. There was nothing growing. Those people were starving to death. They were trying to leave the country. So it was not just religious persecution. They were starving.
Horrible things.
They tried to leave, and
Is that Queen Elizabeth or Queen Anne?
Oh.
Queen Anne.
Beth, you didn't catch that. Queen Anne. Thank you, Jack. My gosh, I put Queen Elizabeth. Don't do that.
Your reception was with Queen Elizabeth.
I was checking
Oh,
spelling.
yes, mine, right. I've been to Buckingham Palace, but she didn't receive me. I just went in as a visitor. Thank you, Jack. Oh, you were so good. Okay, those are the lists, and you know, you can look at them a little bit closer if you would like to. Keep going. Oh, it's so hard to see it on here, isn't it? But it is stating on here how many weavers, how many cobblers, how many such and such, but our people are listed as vineyard keepers and husbandmen.
farmers.
Farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the New York record.
Old fashioned.
And I don't know if I brought that in with me or not. Maybe in my room. But you've probably seen this. If you live up in this area, I'm sure you've seen it. Yeah, and all of our names are listed on here. And I know you can read all that. And you can see the Fishers again. We're all coming in. And this, I love this book. It's really tough reading. This is where I got that answer that it was 114 pounds then per person. So Marie had to do this, had to give that. Okay, this is, see that name again? See that LeBron again? This I thought was interesting. There was a Catholic LeBron who was a witness to Daniel's baptism in France in 1646. But it was interesting that he was also a silk manufacturer in Amsterdam, because the Netherlands at that point extended tax relief for silk manufacturers to come to Amsterdam. Isn't that interesting? So is there a relationship? I think so. But you know, here I'm going back. Is it a speculation? Do I have a document proving it? Not really. My only documents are sort of, I'm generalizing. You know, today you can go get Ferree barrels. They are in France. They're still producing wine. They still use Ferree barrels. So did we produce wine? Yeah, I think we did. Did we produce silk? Maybe. Sounds like it. Could be both. Oh, this is Landau. Now Landau, we know that he did some business in Landau at the Cough House. And he would have done silk. He would have probably done more wine than silk. But this is, I don't know if you've ever been to Landau, but this is Landau. That's the Cough House. Yeah. Beautiful. Everywhere is pretty. This is an area where Anne Frank's grandparents were from there. And I don't remember which house was theirs. This was the church that is in the alley right there. And if they attended church, this would have been the old church they would have been in at that particular point. It's really old. But it's a beautiful old town. You see, 1743 was that. More of the city. That's the book burning. Remember when Hitler wanted the books all to be all burned in 1933? That was the site of the Landau. Oh, I love this one. I love this. Yes! That's in one of the churches. I just thought that was the cutest thing. It's paper mache.
It looks like a Bible school project.
It does. It looks like a Bible school. And that may be it. I don't know. Is that, I don't remember, is that the end of it or not?
No. Well, yes, it is.
Yeah, I thought that's what we did. Give Jonah the whale. No, really, the previous two, I've done a lot of sort of meat into it, and this time I said, you know, maybe I'd just rather see where they lived. I just wasn't sure. I hated to do the same thing over and over. I think something, and I know Karen may be mentioning this too, at the time that our family left, they weren't as hunted down as I think we think that they were. At that point, King Louis had been backed up to Paris. And the main reason is because of John Churchill. He was the commander of the English army. There were 4 major battles, and one of those is a place called Hochstadt, which is translated Blindheim, and that is Blenheim. So if you've ever been to London and you go to Blenheim Palace, that is where John Churchill, who from Queen Anne received all this money because he had pushed back the French. Well, that enabled our people to get out. The Duke of Marlborough, exactly. So, you know, that's my commonsensical, rational way of thinking. Okay, it left a time frame. Everything was frozen. They were starving to death. They had to get out. Okay, and you do realize that there were 2 separate ships.
That's
I'm
Outlook.
trying to make sure that y'all understand that. There were 2 separate ships, so the older 2 children and their families came over on one boat, and then Marie and the other children, the unmarried
Is this
children,
PowerPoint? No, that's not
were
okay.
staying. Because Cocathal could get those ways paid, but he couldn't get the other ones. It's a great book if you've never read it, called Becoming
Not
German.
in PowerPoint.
It's by Philip Otterness, whatever my book is. It's right here. It is probably one of the best books I've ever read. I tell Hank all the time, I said, Hank, do you know this man? He said, oh yes, very well. I said, would you tell him that I said I love this book?
Why?
It is so good, because it is all the migration. That's all it
It's
is.
available in Kindle.
Okay, you can get it on Kindle,
You
she
can get it on
said.
Kindle.
Have you read this?
You spell
It's
the last-
fascinating.
I don't have
isn't it?
Kindle.
Oh, no, that's not it.
Spell the last name.
Yeah, it's
Otterness,
available on Kindle, I have it.
Otternes,
Under free
Philip
review.
Otterness.
please.
Otter, like Otternes, Otterness,
No, same one.
Becoming German.
You just put that.
Oh, it is good. And it's easy reading. My daughter got this years ago for me. This one is tough. It's what I call
Here's
tough.
PowerPoint.
It's a lot.
One down there earlier.
To me, it's difficult.
Slideshow.
Maybe I'm just not smart enough to read. I don't know. Yes,
Betsy, for all of us, I know I need this. Can you walk us through where the Ferrees began and each town they went to before they went to London and then came here? Because I'm mixed up about.
Was that on your last
I think-
PowerPoint?
I think it was on that last PowerPoint.
I have that on, I have that on my
did
computer.
Yeah, and I did it in order last time.
Is that on the website then?
No.
No.
If it was done last time, it is because we recorded it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I
Okay.
guess it is.
Okay.
I guess it is.
Because I'm always confused about what town they were in,
Well,
you know, what the progression
Of course, you know,
was.
I've never found where she was born. That is a strange thing. If I could have enlarged that one page that showed the newcomers to Steinweiler, the Vorenborgs would show up, and there were 2 of them. And they showed up at the same time Daniel Ferree showed up.
Sorry.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, the same, but the spelling's different, but remember,
But see-
the spellings.
You've got one that looks German, and then you've got one Borg is French.
Oh,
So
exactly.
Warren
Strasbourg.
Bauer would be, you know, the German way, and
Right.
Bauer can mean a farm, it
Farm.
can mean a bird,
Right.
but then you have Warrenburg is definitely Berg,
Right.
which is a little community, you know. So I just think it's kind of like a translation.
Transliteration.
Will we
Yeah.
ever find the real documents? Maybe not. I don't know. Y'all come help me.
Could someone expound on the family crest? How that, you know,
Yeah, good question.
Well, that's gonna open a whole can of worms.
That's a chapter, a whole chapter.
That's another for next 2 years from now.
If anyone wants me to email them a copy of the PowerPoint.
The one from last time.
This time or
the
last
media.
time,
Yeah.
I can do that. If they'll just get with me and we'll get the information written down.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Churchill on that too, in the battles.
Right. Okay. I'll be
but
back for Donna.
someone here didn't put that together. That was a family crest that
Right.
was,
I think the Lions were, there's a discrepancy on those rings.
that's okay. You don't have
Ring.
The Lions, I think, are, what do you think, Karen? You've been doing a lot of it too.
Well, I have questions about any family crests, and that's because if you get a crest, it's because someone in the nobility gives it to an individual, and they are never meant to go down some big, long generations of generations.
Right, it's just that time.
But, you know, Americans are fascinated by that, and with the idea that we may be descended from nobility. And that's, you know, that's, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I'm dubious about them
Yeah.
in general.
I think, and this is my common sense, all I've read and all I've seen, I think we were middle class, maybe high middle class. Don't think we were any higher. I don't think we were nobility. Now, I think, maybe some point in time way back, that could have been, but I don't think we were. What I think, if we were nobility, we'd have a lot of records. There'd be a lot of stuff on us.
Right. Yeah.
But as Hank said, but it's your family, so you're proud of your family. And look at our legacy, look at what they stood for. I tell you, if you read that book on that sermon, you'd be in tears.
And
The path.
they were skilled artisans.
Oh, I know.
What they were making were not only useful products, but in many cases luxury products.
And here's another part that a lot of people have pointed out to me. If all these people, and they did, when all these people, the Huguenots and the French and the Germans, when they left, they took the middle class with them. So what you saw about France, in areas it's decayed. Well, when you wipe out the middle class, and then the revolution is going to happen, and you take out the high royalty class, what do you have left? The bottom. So think about it. They've never regained what they lost with those migrations. I really believe that.
It's a fact.
I do. I believe it. The more I read, and I'm not a real smart person. I mean, I'm a retired teacher. I'm not that smart though, but I love to think about what was it like? How can I piece this together? Would they be happy with what we're doing? That's what I do, and it is our legacy, and I'm very proud of it.
I'll tell you one thing, with your amazing personality, I'm not surprised that you have so many people wanting to help you in your research.
Oh, the Germans are so nice. The French
I know
are
they
so
are.
nice. I cannot tell you.
Because you do it in a nice way. They're reciprocal.
Well, if you ever want to go to Steinveller, I'll put you in with these people. They are wonderful. You can go eat with them. Oh, yeah.